To all the wrestling fans out there, hello and welcome to another episode of Bodyslams and Dropkicks podcast. As usual, there is myself, Dino, there is Mikey, and unfortunately our other co-host Mike can't be with us today, but he sends his love to everyone. Now we have our first special guest. This is a gentleman who I've known for near enough 10 years, and he is the head of SRX Consultancy. If you're wondering what that has to do with wrestling, you're about to find out. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Simon Rothstein.
Thank you very much, Dean. Good to be on the show. Like I say, we've known each other a long time. We've been to lots of wrestling shows together, but this is the first time we've done anything like this. So 10 years later, it's taken us a decade. But
it took us a while, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the first question is a bit self-explanatory. What is SRX Consultancy?
Okay, so SRX Consultancy is my business, and we're a basically public relations, social media, marketing, communications firm. We have various clients, but our biggest client and our founding client was Impact Wrestling, which is how we know each other. And really what we do is we work with companies, some based abroad, some based in the UK, who maybe don't necessarily want an in-house PR person for a specific job, or an in-house social media person for a job, but they'll hire us and we'll do it for them.
All right, so we'll just give them an example. So say Impact comes to the UK, which it used to do, and hopefully it won't be too long before it comes back over. What would the duties of SRX be?
Okay, that's a really good question. So we work for Impact all year round. They're like a retained client for us. And the idea is for Impact to employ someone in their office in the States to look after the UK market. Firstly, it would be very expensive for them because obviously you've got to pay full-time salary, taxes, all of that sort of stuff. Secondly, it would be a bit pointless because they'd always be 5 to 8 hours behind us. So what they did is they hired myself and my business, and there's someone called Lauren who works for me, who I know you know, who's based up in Manchester, and we run their UK operations. So what we're doing is we're sending out press releases, we're setting up talent interviews. I know, for instance, you spoke to Rohit Raju this week. So that was set up through me. We set up talent interviews. We work with our TV partners. When we have got live shows, we promote them. We run, if anyone wants to check it out, there's an Impact UK Twitter account and an Impact UK Facebook account. We run those. We do social media marketing. So when you're on Facebook and you see an advert pop up, you know, your friend likes Coca-Cola, do you like Coca-Cola? We do those for Impact Wrestling, and previously for the Fight Network, which was on air for a couple of years here. So really, we are employed by Anthem. Predominantly, we look after Impact Wrestling, but any of their other properties over here that need some PR help, we help as well. I mean, it's great. I get to meet so many people like you guys. Everyone's got a shared passion, you know. It's not really that hard work going to a wrestling show and watching it with a load of wrestling fans, you know. It's good fun. Love it.
It is, yeah. We've met many a time when we've been enjoying the action, and it's not just Impact that SRX is associated with. You actually run quite a few projects as well.
Yeah, we've got like quite a few different clients. I'm very lucky what I do, that I can take on clients that I'm passionate about. So work with a few clients in the charity sector. Work with one we've got coming up called Mitzvah Day, which is a big multiple faith day of social action. Fingers crossed it can still happen with everything that's happening in the world. And that's a really lovely project that we work on that brings people together. A couple of years ago, we had a really good project where the chief rabbi and the main imam in the country got together and cooked together with lots of sort of young Jewish people, young Christian people, young Muslim people. And then all the food that they cooked was given away to local homeless. So that's very, very different to Impact Wrestling, but it's something I'm passionate about, bringing people together. And, you know, we get lots of great coverage. We got that on the BBC News, on ITV News, all these sorts of things. So that's another client. I do a lot of business. We do a lot of business clients as well. I'm based in Essex, and we work for the Essex Chambers of Commerce doing their social media accounts. So, yeah, it's really good. I get to do lots of what I'm passionate about. Lauren works with me. There's another guy called Connor. So we're just growing all the time. You know, it started off as just me and just Impact Wrestling. We've managed to build this business. So I'm very proud of what we've achieved.
Now, as the founder, you built SRX up from the ground upwards. So, bear in mind, like you said, the clients you've got now were pretty well known worldwide. But how did you accomplish this, knowing that at any time it could all be over?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I mean, that's the one drawback of trying to set up your own business. You know, there is that fear in your head. And for a few, when it was just really Impact Wrestling as our main client, and you always worry, well, what if Impact don't like me tomorrow? What if Impact isn't here tomorrow? What happens to my business? So really, that is that is a fear at first, and everyone has that fear. But over time, word of mouth, you do a good job for people. Most of I think, except for one client, every single client I've had, and we've had quite a few come through our books at SRX, has always been through word of mouth. We've done a good job for someone, and either they've got a friend in a similar business, or they leave and go somewhere else, and then they give me a call. So yeah, it's just about, it's always that. But I guess it's the same, wherever you are, if you're a lawyer or you work in Costa Coffee or whatever your job is, there's always that fear you could lose your job. And I guess it's the same for me. But you just got to really just build it up and just be confident in yourself and back yourself. And you know what? I think I've got enough transferable skills that if it all went wrong tomorrow, I'd go and find a job somewhere.
But be honest, after 10 years with Impact, do you really think they're going to go somewhere else?
No, I'd hope not. I
don't think they will, mate. I don't think they'll have kept you on for this long, because I've known you nearly a decade, if not longer, and you're still with them. So there is some security, at least, with the fact that you probably will still be with them for another 10 years, if not longer.
I mean, I would love to be. That's it. 10 years with Impact Wrestling, and it's just been a fantastic time. Got to meet so many great people. Bosses changed: Dixie Carter, Jeff Jarrett, Ed Nordholm, Scott and Don. I love working with. It's just been brilliant. And I know journalists. I consider you guys. I consider so many of the journalists here my friends now. It's second nature. It's just like when I'm trying to send a story, it's just like calling a mate, having a chat about wrestling, and telling them what's coming up for Impact. So yeah, I mean, I love it. And Lauren's been working on the account for about 5 years now as well, and they love her. And a lot of the talent are our friends, a lot of the journalists are our friends, and just really, really enjoy working for the company. It's a great company. It's had its ups and downs, but it's a great company.
I was going to say, me and Mike and my other Mike were discussing this last night. It's kind of like the gaming community, there's always tension between everyone, but in the wrestling community, it's kind of like one big family. There's never really any arguments anywhere.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think in the UK, definitely. I see US journalists sniping about each other sometimes, wrestling journalists, but UK journalists, I see them telling people to read someone else's stuff. I mean, it's amazing. I come from a journalist background. I used to work at The Sun, and I could never imagine tweeting about Read the Mirror stuff. But, I was seeing today Alex from TalkSport, who's a friend of mine, tweeting out, read Sports Keeda, read this, read that. So, yeah, I mean, everyone works together. It's a lovely, lovely community. The fans are fantastic. I mean, I'm lucky I've got to meet so many different UK fans the time I've been here. So many memories of different fans that we've had backstage, that we've done stuff with. We do a lot of Make-A-Wish type stuff over here, and I mean, that's just very special to be a part of.
Should point out that the Alex he was on about is Alex McCarthy, who works for TalkSport, and I bet hasn't he done interviews with just about every wrestler who's come over here?
Yeah,
no matter what company they're in, he's done it.
That's it. I mean, that's the thing. When you've got a platform like TalkSport, everyone wants to be on TalkSport. So, I mean, he's done, WWE, AEW, Impact, everyone. Yeah, he's a great guy. Very, very knowledgeable about wrestling. He did an interview with Eric Young this week, the first interview we did after Eric Young won the belt, because we wanted to make sure that, that he was speaking to top tier media. And Alex did a fantastic interview with him that I suggest everyone checks out.
And obviously, we extend our congratulations to EY. It's been a long time coming, him getting another world title. All right, so if anyone's watching or listening, depending on which avenue it is, what exactly could SRX bring to their table? So let's just say, how would they go about saying, right, we want SRX, we want their services. How do we go about it?
Oh, that's very nice. Give me a free advert. Thank you, Dean. I really appreciate that. So we offer a complete service, or you can pick and choose. Some people just want help with PR. Someone's got a new business or an existing business, and they just really need someone with experience to write a press release to get it published by the media. Some people have that side of things covered, but they need someone to help run social media channels. Other people we just do training for. Someone, they've got a staff team, they haven't really got the budget to have support all year round, but they need a half-day training session on how to build a Facebook page, or how to really engage on Twitter. Or they're just doing a one-off marketing campaign on Facebook around something that they need help with. So really, any sort of communications need that people have, and we work with businesses big and small. I mean, Impact Wrestling has 300,000 followers on Facebook in the UK, but we work with a local taxi service that has 200. So we really do all sizes, big and small, all around the country. Like I say, I'm based in Essex, Lauren's based in Manchester, Connor's based in Leeds. We've got a guy called Garrett that works with us, who works with Impact Wrestling, who's based in Dublin. So we really have got, all the country covered and all needs covered.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to have friends around in every corner of a country.
It's really nice, yeah. It's really nice. And now, with Zoom and Skype and Teams and stuff, it feels like you're sitting in the living room with them anyway.
Yeah. All right. So since when you started SRX and obviously now, what would you say has changed in that amount of time?
It's a really good question. Really good question. So when we first started SRX, what everyone wanted was traditional PR. So they wanted, whether it was Impact Wrestling talent or a charity and their stories, they wanted coverage in newspapers, on the radio, on broadcast. And then a few years into that, so I set up RES, I was about 10, 11 years ago, sort of what time we first met. And then a few years into that, it changed. Everyone wanted social media. Everyone wants to deal with the consumers directly. So really, I sort of had to, it's constantly changing. I see myself sort of like, so even someone like Eric Young, he's a different character to what he was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You've got to constantly evolve your character. I mean, Chris Jericho's great at that. And it's the same in business. You have to constantly evolve the business now, and that's where Lauren and Connor are really, really skilled, is with the social media side of things. So we had to change. The skills are transferable. It's the same skill. It's still about sort of communicating, but instead of long form press releases, we're now trying to do it in 140 character tweets. So it's very different, but really, I think so much more digitally now. People used to, when I first started out in journalism and PR, everyone just wanted, I don't care about online, I just want stories in the paper. But now people want it online. They want clicks, they want link backs, they want SEO. So really, that's what's changed. Much more digital, and you're expected to do a lot more. There was the skill used to be writing a press release and getting it published somewhere. Now you need to know a bit of video, a bit of audio, all these different things, a bit of design. Lauren's very good in Canva. I'm more of an InDesign and Photoshop man. So you really have to do everything.
All right, then. This question is a bit of advice for somebody wanting to go down that route. So if they potentially wanted to use what I've dubbed the Rothstein formula to start their own business.
You're really putting me over here, man.
I know, mate. What advice would you give them?
Experience. It's all about experience. Whether you're going to get experience in journalism first or in a PR firm first, you can't just go and set up your own business and expect to get clients. I worked in national newspaper industry for 10 years, first at the Guardian, then at the Sun. So I got a real knowledge, firstly, of how to write and how to communicate, but also a real knowledge of what journalists want. So it was when I was working there that I became friendly with Dixie Carter and Impact Wrestling. And I went to her and I pitched and I said, look, you're big in the UK. UK fans love you, but you're not doing anything over here. Your US PR person, who was a great guy at the time called Stephen, he's flat out in the US. So he speaks to me and he probably speaks to Patrick at the Star and your top tier, but there's all this other tier of wrestling you could reach. So why not give me a chance, come on board, and I can reach all these people for you. And they said, okay, you've got 3-month test period. And in the first month of that, we're bringing Ric Flair over. So, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better first month. Firstly, what an experience hanging out with Ric Flair, and one of the highlights of my career. But then secondly, great coverage from it, because he was interesting to the Sun, the Mirror. We took him around to talk sport. We had him on TV. We had him do stuff with fans. So that was a real success. And then after that, they're like, okay, we're going to expand it. We want you to also look after us in other countries. We want to set up a Facebook page. We want to set up a Twitter page. And it just grow from there. Obviously, towards the end of that regime, before Anthem came in, things dipped. But now Anthem are in, and is strong. Is stronger than ever. Okay, we're not doing the big arena tours at the moment, and that, COVID plays a big part in that. But you're seeing the reviews. Slammiversary was an absolute slam dunk, one of the biggest pay-per-views we've ever done, both in terms of revenue and in terms of feedback. I think more websites reviewed Slammiversary in the UK and Ireland than have reviewed any Impact pay-per-view, even the ones with Hulk Hogan on, even the ones with Kurt Angle on. So it's really, really building over here. So it's a great time, And the other thing is, what's good for Impact is I've got 10 years experience. I've been there, I've seen it all, I've heard the conversations. So when they need to know anything, especially what's happening in the UK and Ireland, I'm a great resource for them as well with that knowledge.
Wow. I bet Ric Flair told you a few stories.
We had a fun time. The people that were with, he recorded answer phone messages for them all. So he was calling them up. I had Ric Flair on their answer phone. It was one of the all-time greats. We did media tours. I did a media tour with Hulk Hogan. And these were back in the day, 3-4 days going around the country. So I got to do that with Hulk, and Eric Bischoff was there. Kurt Angle, we did them with. Never got to do one with Sting, unfortunately. But, Yeah. Whenever I met Sting, he was like, he's a gentleman, great guy, probably the all-time Impact Wrestling legend.
Oh,
Mm.
oh I bet you told, I bet they all told you some stories.
Yeah. We just, you just sit in the car. I mean, we did one with Dixie Carter and Joe Bush. You just sit in the car and just talk about wrestling. It was awesome. I mean, like you imagine, that's people like talking about their work. You like talking about this podcast, and so it's great for them to talk about these matches. And obviously, I'm a wrestling fan. You wouldn't do this if you weren't a wrestling fan. So, it's great for me sitting there talking about some of the matches that I love growing up, some of the stars I love growing up.
All right, then let's take it away from SRX and let's talk about you. So, what are you passionate about besides wrestling? Hobbies, interests, etc., etc. I do actually remember that you are actually quite an Arsenal fan, if I seem to recall correctly.
Wow, you've got a very good memory. Huge Arsenal fan. Very happy with Mikel Arteta. Very, very, very happy.
All right. How much of a success was it under Arsene Wenger?
I mean, I loved Arsene Wenger. I'm not one of the Arsenal fans that wanted him to go. I thought he was brilliant. Even in the period where we weren't winning titles and we'd gone down a bit, we're still winning FA Cups. Huge Arsenal fan, season ticket holder. Obviously not going at the moment, but hopefully they're going to start ballots so some of us can go. Other than that, I've got 2 children. They're 10 and 8, hanging out with them, playing Nintendo Switch, reading comic books, doing all the stuff that they love, that I love. So
you'd be pleased to know that Mikey is a comic book enthusiast as well.
Ah, cool.
I own 500 comic books, so.
Awesome, man. Yeah, my girl's a massive Wonder Woman fan. My son's a Flash fan. I see you've got Funko Pops behind you, both of you. My daughter's got a collection of about 30 odd Funko Pops. So
I think I need to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean we actually take them out the box. I know you want to.
No, I don't take mine out.
Yeah, it's a big controversy, isn't it? I think you
can't. Rephrase that. I've took the Killing Joke one out, but I didn't mind that because I actually did want that more than anything.
Right, yeah. So I guess obviously you keep them in the box so they retain their value. I understand, but it's nice to see them on the shelf, and you don't get to see the full figure if they're behind the box.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
All right, then. What would you say are your career highlights aside from obviously having your own successful company?
Oh yeah, no, thank you very much. I mean, yeah. So being able, like you asked me a question earlier, are you worried it could all end tomorrow? So being able to do this for 10 years, just in that is a highlight. The wrestling obviously has been a massive highlight. I've got, like we talk about getting to work with my idols, getting to just learn from them. You learn so much about the wrestling business sitting in a car with Kurt Angle for an hour where he tells you no holds barred everything. You just can't, as a wrestling fan, you just can't beat that. I'm an Arsenal fan. I got to meet Thierry Henry and do some stuff with him.
Oh, good old Thierry.
Yeah.
Arsenal need him more than ever.
Yeah, we would love him. I got to work with Ray Parler for a year. Ray Parler's one of the best guys I've ever met. Just an absolutely awesome guy. Just really, I mean, he doesn't live far from me in Essex, so we got to hang out as well as work together. So yeah, just those sort of things. Getting to be at, getting to do the shows at Wembley Arena. But the real highlight is just getting to meet so many people, so many friends through this. Just so many. Yourself, Alex at TalkSport, Gary at Sportskeeda. I mean, Patrick, who used to work for The Star, Phil at Bang Showbiz. I mean, I always say that when the UK shows rolled around, I was more excited about seeing the journalists than I was about seeing the talent because I just made so many friends through this. Yeah. Just like getting to hang out, just getting, you remember at the shows, I'd come and sit with you for 20 minutes and I'm going to sit with someone else. Yeah.
To just point out, he actually does. He doesn't just, we're not literally saying that. He does actually come and sit with us and have a chat for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I miss that. I really want to. That's what I want to really get back to the shows for. Just all of those things. The after show parties. I remember once we were doing an after show drinks with Dixie Carter in the Lowry, and usually Lowry were fine. And we said we're just bringing some media back for drinks, and they suddenly went all really funny with us. We couldn't work out why. It's because Simon Cowell and Ant and Deck were in the bar, and they said like honestly, and the media were with us, and they were wrestling just like we couldn't care less. We actually because Billy Corgan, I think it was at that period, like, we just want to hang out with Dixie and Billy and talk about wrestling. We don't want to write about Simon Cowell, so it was quite funny.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about Ant and Deck either. We don't want to write their next headline. We just want Dixie.
Exactly.
Right. So, what would you like the future to hold for you and your company?
I mean, I'd just like to see it grow. Like you say, another 10 years would be fantastic. and I just get to work on more exciting products. I'd love Impact to come back to the UK and do those tours again, and that's something that everyone in the company wants to do and is excited about doing. Just the time's got to be right for it, and another 10 years like the last would be bliss for me, and just do more things like this. It's so much fun.
All right then. If people would find you on social media, how would they go about it?
Okay, so just on Twitter, just find me. It's at Simon Rothstein, so it's SI and then ROTHSTEIN. Or I've got a website, srxconsultancy.com. That's a bit less exciting. That's just a list of what we do and our clients. But, find me on Twitter, interact with me. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you're in the media, in the wrestling media, and you want to cover Impact Wrestling in the UK and Ireland, and for whatever reason we've not spoken, because there's always new media that pops up or media that I've missed, please get in contact with me. I'll add you to our press list. I'll add you to our interview opportunity. In fact, it was because Melanie got a press release from me about a boxing event that we were doing that we sort of reconnected, and she asked me to do this, and then we've got you back on the schedule now. You did Rohit this week, and we'll definitely do some more with you guys.
Yep, Mikey is especially looking forward to that after I told him about what Rohit likes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We can sort that out. Yeah.
Yep. Right. Just briefly, just before we go, I'm going to give you the names of 20-odd TNA or Impact wrestlers that I think you've been with. So just describe them in one word. So we'll start with the lady who actually introduced us in the first place, Mickie James.
Incredible. But so talented.
And what about the I would say the biggest knockout in terms of TNA, Gail Kim?
The ultimate.
Wow. And all three members of the Beautiful People.
The best with the fans I've ever seen. They would stay when we did those fan signings. They would stay till the very end to meet every single fan. Just incredible.
Oh, it makes me regret me not seeing them yet. All right then. What about the Cowboy and Mr. Money, Beer Money, aka James Storm and Bobby Roode?
Great laugh. Love them.
All right. I've got to ask this. The phenomenal AJ Styles.
Yeah, phenomenal.
What about the Samoan submission machine, the head of the Nation of Violence, Samoa Joe?
Dominant.
And as you've already discussed many a time, the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle.
The best guy I've ever got to hang out with in this business.
Yikes. All right, then. I don't want any favoritism here because the next one is actually from our country. It is our dear Magnus.
Yeah, national treasure. Great mind for the business. Probably one of the greatest minds for the business.
And what about someone who's actually come back to Impact now? Ethan Carter III, aka EC3.
So pleased to have him back. So pleased. I mean, having the Carter name in another federation never really sat right with me. So
and he wasn't. Yeah, he didn't actually look like he was happy there. But I've seen more from him since he's been back than in however many years he was in WWE.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Fraser will agree with me on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Ben.
His match with Spud, the hair versus hair, and I got to see a lot of Impact Wrestling matches live, both as a journalist beforehand, going to the States, and seeing all the shows within the UK. And that is the best Impact Wrestling match I've ever personally seen live, was him and Spud, hair v hair.
I think I saw. Was I there for that one or not? I can't remember.
I have to go back and check the press list.
Yes. But, all right, then. What about the most decorated tag team in the history of professional wrestling? Team 3D, or as other people know them as, the Dudley Boys?
If I was a wrestling journalist, the number one person you should interview is Buddy Ray. His mind for the business and the way he'll talk you through the business is just sitting in on his interviews were a treat, and the same with Devon.
I'm actually working on that as well.
Yeah.
So wish me luck with that.
Yeah.
All right, then. What about the greatest who ever lived, Austin Aries?
I never really got to know Austin Aries, but I was always such a fan of him in the ring.
I'll tell you which one makes me laugh. It was when it was him versus Bobby Roode. I think it was at Wembley. And it was the one where they tried to outdo each other. And they just kept... You remember that one I'm on about?
Yeah.
Oh, I have never laughed so much in my life. And what was even worse was I was trying to film it, but obviously when you're laughing, you can't keep the camera still.
Yeah.
It was it was funny, but it was also a nightmare at the same time.
I'm going to go back and watch some of that on Impact Plus. I forgot how much I love Bobby and Austin together, so I'm going to go back and watch that.
I think I will be doing that at some point as well. Oh, yes. What about MVP?
MVP, such a good guy to chat to. Got to hang out with him a lot. My friend Vikram is a very, very close friend of his, and we sometimes still speak. We spoke just before he did his speaking tour here, and he's a great guy.
I should point out MVP was the first time I actually went to Scotland, because that was the day he debuted with our next with the next pick, actually. Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, the Wolves.
The Wolves. Probably the hardest hitting tag team I've seen live, and I'm massive fans of both guys. And Eddie I know better because he's been with the company longer.
Yeah.
Just an absolute, Mr. Impact Wrestling, you know, of the modern era. You know, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, those guys built the house, but the modern era, Eddie Edwards is Mr. Impact.
I absolutely, when I went to see them two live, doesn't matter when it was, I cannot forget all the matches they were in, because they were just brilliant.
Yeah.
I think actually at one point I did actually say they were probably the best tag team in the world, just because I felt they were that good. All right, then the last one on the docket before we call it a day. He's a very short guy from Birmingham. I believe you know him by the name of Rockstar Spud.
Rockstar Spud. Me and Spud's paths had gone parallel for so many years. We've both been involved in the wrestling scene over here, but we never actually met. And then we met on boot camp, and we just hit it off. Absolutely hit it off. Again, like I said about Magnus, a fantastic mind for the business. So good. Every angle he's in means something. One of the best guys. Love to see him back in Impact Wrestling one day, but I'm glad he's having all the success that he is elsewhere.
So am I, because I actually saw British Boot Camp, and you could tell he wanted it more than anybody, and he got it.
Yeah, and it's not a secret that originally British Boot Camp was commissioned to be a sort of vehicle for the Blossoms to get them over and get them into Impact. And love the Blossoms and love Marty, and Impact's worked with them and I've worked with them. But Spud was so good on that show that Hulk and Dixie, who were making decisions, said, look, I know we wrote the show about the Blossoms, but this guy's got to win.
Yeah. So on those very nice, what's the word that we're looking for? You know what the word I'm looking for, don't you? Yeah.
On that nice note, yeah.
Yeah. So on that, ladies and gentlemen,
too, Dean. You forgot two of the greats who are influential to modern wrestling. You forgot MCMG, the Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh yeah. To be honest with you, I hadn't thought of them, but I thought I'd let you ask that.
Motor City Machine Guns, again, I mean, how lucky are we at Impact Wrestling to have the Motor City Machine Guns, to have had Beer Money and to have them do that series, but to also have had around that time the British Invasion, to have all those great tag teams, you know, Daniels and Kazarian. You know, what an era, and those guys are still doing it today. And they're tag team champions again all these years later, and still every bit as good as they were.
Well, he's definitely glad that, and I'm just glad that Impact just still makes me smile after all these years. And I'm sure we all three of us hope that everything gets back together soon, like back to normal, and they can start touring as normal. So. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the head of SRX and fellow Englishman, Simon Rothstein.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Thanks for all your support of Impact Wrestling, and thanks for your support of me personally. And I'll see you at the show very soon.